All right, everybody. Hello. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to our very first Real Table Talk live podcast episode. And we're going to have conversations today. These types of conversations are really, really important. And oh my gosh, some of these conversations we're going to have out loud sometimes are being held behind doors. And recently, there was a very viral clip. One of our clips from our podcast went viral on Instagram, and very loudly, the comment section was definitely chiming in. And everybody, if you're new here, a clip from one of our conversations about women, dating, relationships, disappointment, and the experiences, the real lived experiences that women have had with men took off. It took off online. And when I say it took off, the comment section had a whole second podcast, so much so that we thought it was very important that to highlight what people had to say. There was a lot to have been said. Some men said, and I wrote some of it down, wait a minute, women aren't the only ones who've been hurt. Others have asked, where is accountability for the men you choose? We heard men talk about divorce. I saw comments about betrayal, family courts, false allegations. Men felt used and manipulated. They seem to be simply tired. What is going on with this divide? As a relationship therapist, I am very, very intrigued, and I'm so happy to bring in all of our hosts today. Some of us are coming in a little bit later, and some of us are here with us tonight. And this conversation, I want women to talk honestly about being hurt by men. And we're not condemning all men, okay? We're just talking about our own lived experience. And I think that is very, very worthwhile to talk about. So at the table joining me tonight is my girl co-host, Tiana Von Johnson. And we're also joined by Cinda, and my husband Boyce is joining us later on after he eats dinner. And so it's nice to get a male perspective. And then we also have some other people coming in. We have Dr. Green, Donette Green. She's also here with us. And so I am Dr. Alicia. Welcome to the Real Table Talk podcast. Now, Tiana, apparently the internet says we need to take some accountability. So let's start right there. What did you see in those comments?
First of all, I want to understand why I was called an old hoe, because they ain't have to do me like that. You know what I'm saying? Why I can't be a young hoe? You know? No, in all seriousness, first of all, I want to first start talking to the men that are stand up, the men that are good dudes, the men that are great fathers, the men that are not scammers, the men that are really whole, healed, happy. I want to say something to you. I thank you. If you were in those comments and you fought for what you believed, because you are a stand-up guy, you are a great man, you are not coming with intentions that are to destroy a woman, I salute you, King. What I am not going to apologize for are the scammers. I'm not going to apologize to the narcissists. I'm not going to apologize to the men who came into my life and tried to break me down. There was a lot of women in the comments, men and women in the comments, that said this is what stood out to me. They said, you need to look in the mirror and you need to take accountability, because if you had 12 failed relationships, who's the common denominator? The common denominator is the person that decided that they were going to come into my life and bother me, because I'm over here healed, happy, growing, working, school, raising my children, living a great life, open to love, joyous, happy. And in walked a man who looked at me and said, that's not a queen. In walked a man who said, she is not worthy. In walked a man who said, I'm going to break you down. I did not know that. They did not have scammer on their forehead. They did not have narcissist on their forehead. They did not have a sign that gave me any type of warning that said, I'm coming to break you down. So what did I do? I opened my heart. I opened my telephone. I mean, if we want to go that far, I took calls. I took dates. I embraced you. and you still had a motive. So that is who I'm talking to. So with that, I'm going to yield to you, Dr. Donette, for your opening commentary because I said what I needed to say.
All right. Now you hit it right on the head. I mean, I know I actually went in and said my little spiel because I feel like, they were negating the perspectives of individuals. We are able to have these conversations as individuals, right? And so welcome back to the conversation. Again, I'm Dr. Donette Green. And for me, you may disagree with our perspective. You may disagree, but disagreement doesn't have to turn into disrespect. And that's where I want to address certain parts, right? If you're going to talk, we're going to talk about men, women, relationships, ego, fear, because that was some of the things that I jumped on. I wanted to know that you guys have been heard. We saw your comments. We understand. But I think the biggest part for me is that it's okay for you to feel how you feel. Just like it was okay for us to feel how we felt and had a conversation around that. But this is the bigger thing. I think what I want people to start doing, even as we're having these conversations, is kind of figure out, what did the statement do to affect you? What did you actually hear? What did you assume that these ladies meant by the comments, right? And so what am I responding to, actually? What she said, or how it made me feel, or what I heard that she said. So it's about becoming more intentional with who you are, and what type of triggers happened within yourself based on your own experiences. Because again, we were talking about our experiences. So tonight I feel like, it's not here to fight. We're not here to clap back in that way. We're here to have true conversation with men. And hopefully, based on that, we can have, enough emotional intelligence that we can disagree without being demeaning, challenge without actually attacking the women that are on this platform, and, listen without immediately becoming defensive, because we know that defensiveness comes from your own challenges. So gentlemen and ladies that are here, this conversation is for you, right? And so we're ready to have this conversation, and I'm ready to listen.
All right, Cinda, what you got?
Well, I missed everything. I missed everything because I wasn't attached to anything. So I didn't see the comments or anything like that. But I had several male friends reach out to me saying, "What is going on?" So all I know to say is that if you were triggered by something, as Dr. Donette said, it's interesting to look at yourself and why that triggered you. I love men. I just do. I have a wonderful relationship with several male friends. I love men, but I haven't had my share of horrible experiences. But the cool thing is I was able to look at myself and say, hey, okay, the things that did not work, how did I grow from those things? How am I still triggered by those things? And so it comes back to growing within myself, that, the experiences that I had with men, I truly believe came in my life to teach me something about me and to help me grow from painful things that happened in my past, in the male figures in my life. And I think that all relationships are about that. And so I'm glad to be here tonight with you brilliant people, you brilliant women, and the men that join us and the women that join us. This is a conversation we need to have because it's time for us to heal.
Now I'm going to toss it to Dr. Alicia. I want to read one of the comments first. DJ Boy Wonder said, "I'm just trying to understand why this is on this page. I thought this was for Black progress, financial literacy, Black love, and mental health awareness. This is counterproductive. What is the walk away from this, especially to the younger generation? There's enough negativity on our timeline. Time to start talking about positive experiences and pushing forward a positive future. There's no growth in repeated cycles, especially coming from who's supposed to be our teachers. Dr. Alicia is in a whole healthy relationship. I'm confused. This post is a big disappointment." Dr. Alicia, take it away.
Well, you know what? Let's play it. Since let's play. I figured out here how to share my screen. So while I have my screen shared, let's play it. So let me know, everybody in the chat, how you doing? I see people joining us. We got We got a good crowd in here joining us. Let me know if you can hear the sound. I'm gonna play the clip. It's on my Instagram, and you can also follow us on the Real Table Talk Pod on Instagram. But it's on my Instagram to have direct access to that. And I'm gonna play the clip, and then you tell me what you think. Okay, so here we go. If they're gonna leave you, and a lot of people have abandonment issues.
They do.
And they don't want you, but they don't want nobody else to have you, so they're just wasting your time.
That's fear. That is fear.
That's selfishness.
That is selfishness. Dr. Alicia and I go back and forth on this topic because all of that. No, because
I know butterflies and rainbows. And
I love it. Lovely and wonderful. No, these little jokers are weirdos, scammers, narcissists.
Okay.
They prey on women. No, because we're gonna stop. They just fear. No, these Negroes is weird.
They just lie.
Word. They just a freaking liar.
All of that.
Well, I wouldn't say they all lie. A lot of them. But some of them really honestly know what they want, and the fear is what holds them back. Right. And ego is the thing too. I'm saying it very, and I will never apologize for it. Sometimes what challenges a man is that his ego is bigger than his heart. Right. And when your ego is bigger than your heart, the fear of the unknown, the fear of what may not work out, the fear of the challenges that could come if you take a leap of faith.
There are too many men out here not doing the work.
Yes.
I'm not excusing it anymore. I'm not being patient and waiting for your day to come. We are grown for real, for real. And you have to do the work, and you have to go deep inside yourself, or don't talk to me.
Yes.
Because every man that I've met over the last decade, their mission was to break me down. Like, why you bother? I didn't bother you.
Right.
I was over there minding my business and leave yours alone. So why did you come bothering me? And to your point, they know what they're doing in this regard. I met a dude who I think he had different pockets of women doing different things for him. Mm-hmm. Straight hobo, straight broke weirdo. And I think that no, seriously, because let me get her to help with a car note. Let me help her with this. Let me help her to get me on the stage. Let me help her to play with your mother like that. No, I'm sorry, that was wrong. But the point is, because I'm over it, y'all. I'm over it.
I get it. You don't know if they're gonna take advantage of you, if they're gonna leave you, and a lot of people have abandonment issues.
They do.
Okay. All right. Okay. So that was the clip. Now that I'm focusing on the clip, I think that Tiana, you were sharing your real lived experience.
I was sharing my real lived experience, and I was attacked with a lot of "who are you? You're negative. You keep picking the wrong ones. This is just disgusting content. You're just doing this to go viral." Let me try to explain something for the people in the back. I'm going to speak on briefly a situation that I had with a narcissist. Now, if you ever dated one, you might resonate with what I'm speaking about. But this is a person that I knew for a long time. So there's already a sense of safety to a degree. This is someone who preyed on me in a sense, right? He did not come with the sign on his forehead that says, "I'm coming to destroy you." But that was his intention. He was jealous. He was purposely trying to break me down. He was abusive. He was very trying to intimidate me with his aggressive behavior. He kept trying to do things to make me fearful. This hand right here, at one point had a big old green bite. I got bit on my hand like a savage dog. You know how a dog bites and then they shake their head? He bit my hand down like a savage dog and bit it. I'm talking about that. I'm talking about what I experienced in that moment. I'm talking about that person. So I'm not talking about the good men. I'm talking about that man. I'm talking about the next man that came and did similar acts. I'm talking about the next man that came and did similar acts. That's who I'm talking about. So when I say thank you, Reginald, for saying that, because you don't need to apologize. You didn't do it to me. I'm just simply saying that When I say I'm over it, I'm not saying I'm defeated and I'm just done with the world. Like, I'm still open to love. I really still do pray each day that an amazing man comes to me. However, I'm looking at it differently. I'm actually okay if I'm single for the rest of my life. There was a point in my life where I couldn't say that. So when I say I'm over it, I'm over just openly giving my heart to someone. I'm openly just being naive or blind, right? Some of the comments did say you're picking the same type of men. I mean, I like what I like, right? We all do, right? I mean, I'm gonna just keep it real. So do I gotta go to something that look crazy? I want me a little fine little chocolate drop. And so if I see one, I mean, yeah, like, right? Yeah, I want to look at something cute. I mean, I'm pretty sure every man in here want to look at something that look good.
Mhm.
So I think that we all want something that attracts to us, whatever that looks like. So for me, it's really just about sharing my story. I was not talking to all men, but I was definitely talking about that man, those men who came into my life, preyed on me, knew what they was doing, knew they had other women, knew that they were being toxic, knew that they wanted to break me down. I had a man recently who said to me, now I'm someone that's doing two PhDs simultaneously, 2 doctorates at the same time. This man said, "Oh, your little doctorate." Your little doctorate? Like, I mean, I'm just saying, like, why does a black man say to me, "Your little doctorate"? Why couldn't it be like, "Yo, queen, that's what's up"? Like, "Oh, what? Like, you doing 2?" Like, when's the conversation that says, "Wow, I ain't never seen nothing like that. That's amazing." Because you're intimidated, you're jealous, you're broken, you're hurt, you can't stand to see me win. Why? What did I do to you? Why are you not looking at me like the beautiful queen that I am?
But I think also, I think that's a great point, and I'm just wanted to say, like, the same way they're in the comments, because there were a lot of diminishing things being sent, just again based off of a bunch of women having experiences. It's the same way that you are feeling how you're feeling about what we're saying, because you probably have had your own experiences as a man, right? And we're not out here trying to diminish your ego, but there are emotional patterns that we've had to deal with as women on this podcast. And then you are triggered by something, maybe because just like the man, he might have had a situation why he's now calling your little degree because he's been intimidated by someone who he felt was superior, but you did that, right? And so I think, unfortunately, in our society, there's so many things, but that experience that a person has had is going to help you determine what your future look like and what you have a conversation with a group of your friends on a podcast about.
All right. Okay. I want to reset the table a little bit because there are a lot of people coming in right now. And so I just want to take a moment to do that, because we do have, I see quite a few people just flooding right on in here. Welcome, everybody. Welcome. Drop where you're coming in from in the chat and we'll shout out your city. And so you may be wondering, what am I walking into? I'm dialing into this conversation today. And so I want to welcome all of you guys, the Real Table Talk podcast. I'm Dr. Alicia. Tonight, we are having a conversation that grew out of a video that went viral on Instagram. The original conversation was a group of women talking about and candidly sharing their experiences about dating, about relationships, about disappointments in those relationships. Some of those behaviors they've experienced from men, and the internet had a lot of thoughts about this. And, one thing, as a therapist, in case you don't know, I think that women need to be heard, but I think the comment section really exploded, particularly with men challenging that. And what about the women and what they do to men? Okay, can we give women space to vent without making it about them? And so some felt we were generalizing men from the comments. Others, they were questioning our age, our relationship status, our success, and whether women can actually keep a man. And then some comments were completely just went left and got absolutely just horrible. And so we were not bashing men in that conversation, and it's not a blame the women conversation we're going to have here today. So what we learn about relationships from the intensity of these reactions is one thing I want to know. You guys go to our Instagram. Let me see if I can put something in here. Go to the Real Table Talk. There it is, the Real Table Talk Pod. Be sure to tune in there and watch the video. I just played the video a few seconds ago. We got God Code from Oklahoma in the house. Oklahoma is in the house. Welcome everybody. Who's here? We got Kentucky in the house. We got Florida in the house. We got everybody tuning in. Denver in the house. And look, one thing I know as a relationship therapist, I've worked with people who've been in a relationship, who's gotten out of a relationship, who's looking for a relationship. One thing I know is that everybody wants to be loved. Everybody wants to be seen. Everybody wants intimacy. And my contribution to the discussion was just that what stops us from getting the love that we want, and a lot of times it's past relationships that have gone sour, past relationships with our parents from our childhood, and it gets in the way from us having a real healthy relationship with another person. Fear comes up and you start attending to things. And so yes. And so what? Dr. Boyce is here. Oh my God. Dr. Boyce is here. Let me introduce. We do have a guy. Yes. You want to say something, Tiana?
They said in the comments, these types of conversations are laughable. If y'all don't like us men, then stay the F away from us. Another commenter said, who cares what these has-been grannies say? They all look more dried up than Trump's hair. Damn.
So, we don't have to, it's just trolls online. And I think it's really interesting. But joining us also here is Dr. Boyce. Dr. Boyce, you shared it to your page. And I want you to just kind of like talk about when you read through the comment section. Were you able to read through the comment section? What was up? What did you think about it?
I mean, the comments I knew about were the ones that you and Tiana told me about. And hey, ladies, how you doing? Good to see you. I saw it as our community is a place that's full of a lot of pain. And one of the things I was looking into is different things that I know, Alicia, I know you know a lot about this, but things like social learning theory and attachment theory, which pretty much says that the way you view relationships, the way you choose relationships, the way you respond in relationships is heavily driven by what you saw growing up. And one of the things that I think that I see on a regular basis is a lot of us did not grow up in households where we saw two people loving each other on a daily basis. We didn't see a woman compromising with a man. We didn't see a man submitting to his wife and loving his wife. We didn't see these things. And so we're out here winging it, right? So I would ask everybody I would challenge everybody to think of it like this. Imagine if you've never seen a car before and then suddenly somebody put you in a car and put you behind the wheel. You're going to crash the damn thing. You don't know the steering wheel from the glove compartment and you're going to get it wrong. And so one of the things I would say is that I think at the end of the day, no matter what is happening with us, we know that the world is full of good people, bad people, people that are good for us, people that are bad for us. And if anybody's like me, you would know that you probably spent time choosing people that were not good for you. And it may not, and it's not all your fault per se. Maybe they presented themselves as something other than what they actually were, which might mean maybe we didn't spend enough time getting to know the person before we decided to take that next step. Maybe it's because we have flaws, right? We spend. I didn't realize until I was 50 that I basically married my mama. And I had to have a talk with my wife about that. I said, you look just like my mother. You're in the same profession as my mother. And when we have a hard time, I feel inside the way I would feel when I was a teenager arguing with my mother. What the hell's wrong with me? I couldn't just say, well, what's wrong with you? I mean, that's easy. Anybody can do that. But I say, well, what's wrong with me? How do I fix that? How do I adjust to that? Right. And so I would say anybody who isn't doing that work, where you can really stop it. And, I mean, let's just be clear. There's bad people are never going to go away. There's always, if you are a good person, somebody's always going to try to take from you. If you're a millionaire, somebody's always going to want your money. if you if you're a beautiful woman, some man is always going to try to sneak in your life and do terrible things. If you're Barack Obama, I'm sure there's always some woman out there that wants to scam him and take advantage of him. So the question is not so much, why do people do these things? Because we know that it's always going to happen. The question is, how do I navigate life in that way? And the last thing I'll say on this is, it's really interesting to me that we, knowing the relationship crisis is in our community. Black women are the least likely of any group to be married. Black men are right down there with Black women. And one of the things that's interesting to me is that we'll spend 4 years going to college, learning how to get a job, working for a white man, but we don't spend any time learning how to be a spouse, right? Taking a class on how to be a wife, taking a class on how to be a husband, taking a class on how to be a parent.
The class on how to be a good spouse comes from the classroom of your childhood. And so the thing is that there is no perfect childhood. And one thing that Tiana said so brilliantly was the fact that, hey, I'm sitting here doing the work and I expect my partner to also be doing the work as well. And so, boys, we've grown a lot since we've gotten married. We have had to do a whole lot of work with ourselves. And I want everybody to know this. If you grew up in a single parent home, it is not the end for you. You can do the work and you can have a healthy relationship. If you grew up in a 2-parent home and saw toxic things, you can do the work, just like Tiana said, and still overcome it and have a healthy relationship. So your background, although it influences who and what you are, it does not determine who and what you are. It can happen for you. Or I would just quit my job and stop doing the work that I'm doing to help other people as well as myself. And so that is one of the things that you have to be able to have a voice. And I'm just troubled by the fact that women are sitting here having a voice, and there wasn't enough men in the chat from what I saw that was there to actually listen. It did not land on the ears appropriately. It got into very nasty conversations. It got into low blow discussions. It got into name calling. It got into insulting. And not one time did I see anybody in there validating what anybody had to say. I'm going to hand this up. We haven't heard from Miss Cinda. Maybe I'll hand it over to you because we haven't heard from you yet.
Yeah, all I have to say is, I remember when I realized that I was making choices that were hurting me when it came to my relationships. I made those choices, but I also realized I made those choices because there was something I needed to learn from those experiences, because like you said, my parents, I love them very much, but they were not good together. It was very toxic. I never saw a good relationship growing up. I didn't know what that looked like. So I had to go out and find out for myself. And so there was a lot of mistakes that were made. I saw red flags and ignored them because I also see potential in people, but that potential does not equal who they are ready to be. And so I kept having my pattern was constant just trying to be with somebody, make it work. And when I finally said, okay, I got to make me work, I have to let all them go for a while and figure me out and why I have these patterns, where it began, and work through my stuff. That's when things started shifting for me. And now the caliber of man coming into my life as friendships, as dating, is very different. But because I took time to just really focus on me and figure me out. And I know that you're doing that already. I think everybody in this group is doing that already. But for me, it took I said no to every request for a date. I said, no, I can't, because I have to work through my stuff so I can start attracting the type of man that I want, because I'm as healthy as they are. I need to be as healthy as I want them to be. And that's just my own personal story. So, I've just started dating again a little bit, and I'm still not really ready. But I know that working on me is changing the atmosphere. The men that are coming into my life now are beautiful, beautiful people. Not always right for me, but I like having them in my life.
Thank you. Tiana, you got something to say? Because
I'm
it all came after watching that clip again. You did a lot of talking on that clip, and that really stirred up a lot for a lot of the people in the comments. Tell us.
I'm going to jump in and talk about something and then pose a question to the group about something
Okay.
that you might not expect me to talk about on this podcast. It's kind of like a different generation, but it breaks my heart. So many of you know about Blueface, right? You know the artist Blueface. So Blueface has a child's mom who's almost about to give birth, Nevaeh, if I'm pronouncing it correctly. We all know Krishan. She's been pretty popular in culture. She's has her Christian music. She's very spiritual. um Somehow they just pop up on my feed a lot, and I watch how Blueface treats women, and I watch her react. Like, I've watched this man call her stupid, bitch, you're dumb. He has said in her face, I'm a hoe. I'm sleeping with other women. I'm doing these things. You're a dummy. Leave me alone if you want. You ain't you like, I mean, and I watch her sit there and say, okay, okay, okay. Now, I know that's extreme. And I know most seasoned women, or us old hoes, as y'all called us in the chat, we might not put up with that. But the reason why I'm referencing that is because there are men who that's how they give it up. That's how they move. That's how they're treating us. They don't see us as women. They see us as animals, disgusting, nothing, rotten. And they have black mothers. They have black sisters. They have black friends. It disgraces me. Now, I'm not putting every black man in the category of Blueface. I know I'm going extreme. But I, as a successful woman with multiple degrees, like Dr. Cheyenne Bryant, I'm just joking. Sorry, y'all. That was wrong. I ain't mean to do that. But as a woman with credentials, as a woman with a history, experience, grinding, building, moving, I get Blueface kind of men that are in their 40s and 50s. Now, they don't come at me and say, you stupid, and I'm just going to stay here. But they've done some things that as a grown man, you look at and you say, this is what we doing in 2026? Like, why do I deserve to be treated? What did I do to you? So when men say in the comment, and women say to me, Tiana, you need to look at yourself. You're the common denominator. I'm not the common denominator from a abuser. I'm not the common denominator for a scammer. I'm not the common denominator for someone who wants to get a woman for a car note. I know this is like a little ratchet conversation, but we are women that are looking for men that we're trying our hardest here, right? I just recently got on Hinged. I don't know. Listen, these men, I don't know
Congratulations.
don't even go there. I didn't X'd out about 800 men.
Okay.
But the point really is, and I'll turn it over to you. I want to hear your commentary on this. Is that I'm just a woman that I would love to have someone amazing. My heart is open to someone amazing. I'm not bashing every man. But my trajectory is men meet me and they are intimidated by me. They are not building me up as a woman. I build you up, build me up. And they're just simply not doing that. So with that, I'll turn it over to whoever wants to respond.
Can I do want to say one thing. When I was saying, look at me, what I found is that I bashed myself worse than any man ever did. I had a lot of self-hatred going on with myself. So it was almost like I thought I did not deserve someone better. And one of the final experiences I had where this man stalked me, threatened to kill me, I mean, it was the worst. I mean, it's horrible. I don't know how I survived it physically, let alone in any other way. And he told me specifically, I want to kill your spirit. That was what he said. Because I asked him, I said, if you think all these horrible things about me, if I'm a has-been, if I'm worthless, if I'm this, if I'm that, why won't you leave me alone? And he said, because I want to kill your spirit. I want you to know you're nothing. That was it. And guess what I said to him? I said, oh, I'm everything. I'm amazing. My ancestors look at me. They are so proud of me. I am amazing. And I had never said that to myself before. I had never said that out loud. I'm always the humble. Oh, I'm okay. No, no, no. I'm like, no, because I'm all that
And then
in
some.
word.
Yeah, I
All
think this
that.
is
You know what I'm
this
saying?
is yeah,
That's what had to change for me. What I was
yeah,
seeing in me is what had
yeah,
to change for me, not them. F them. I
yeah,
had to change how I felt about me and see how awesome I am and grow that way.
yeah.
And then I started attracting men that saw that in me. And I'm not saying that's you because I don't think that's you at all. I'm just saying that that is me. I wasn't looking for mean men, but I was mean to me. So mean men came to get an agreement with me.
I could
I,
not agree with you more. I just want to say, the difference between victim blaming and personal accountability is just like if someone mistreats you, lies to you, manipulates you, cheats on you, abuses you, all of those things, you're not responsible for their behavior. They're responsible. But what you are responsible for is what you do with that experience. Ask yourself, where were the red flags that I did not see? Why did I stay with this person? What was I afraid of losing? If I left, was there something familiar about this relationship because of my childhood or previous relationships? What boundaries do I now need to set up? So when you get back on Hinge, what boundaries do you now need to set up? What now do you need to heal so that you don't repeat that pattern? Both things can be true. It's not saying I caused what happened to me. It's saying I refuse to give what happened to me control over what happens next. I think that's the difference.
And I
Koish, you
think
want to
that,
say something?
okay.
oh, go ahead.
No, I was just
Oh,
going to say,
you go ahead.
Oh,
Yeah.
thank you, Dr. Boyce. What I was going to say to Dr. Alicia's point, I think that unfortunately as well, society has us feeling as women and successful women that we have to be in these relationships. So as Sim was saying, she has to be able to get to a point where she understands who she is because you're listening to what that man is saying. And so many of us fall prey to these relationships and we stay around because maybe we didn't have that, they didn't have that growing up. They had a single parent household and I can't be by myself, so I'm going to stay with this man. I'm going to tough it out and I'm going to feel and be in this relationship regardless of the red flags, because I saw several red flags before I got to the point. And I will speak candidly as someone who grew up. My parents are 48 years married, and so the challenge is that when I see something and it gets to a point, I will walk away because I know what a great relationship with someone who can be friends look like. I was a couple months out of being married to someone that I very much did not really care for or like, but because it was your child's father, because you're supposed to get married. And I remember going to my mom and saying, Mom, this is not what I want to do. And to hear my child say, Mom, you don't cry anymore. You're not hurting anymore, because I listened to the words and I stuck it out, and it's not okay. But so many women listen to that and you lose yourself in the midst of doing that because society says you're supposed to get married. You're supposed to have a family. You're supposed to do these things. And so even with Tiana being on Hinge, we are successful women. When it's time, when it's God's time for us, that right man will do and see and appreciate everything about us. But I think we just get so stuck in wanting to, or what society says we're supposed to have, that we sometimes just settle. And that's unfortunate.
What I'll say is, as I'm listening and learning, is when I was over, I'm doing the thing in Morehouse this fall, and I was sitting there talking to another professor who's single, and it was interesting because he was describing his experience, dating Black women. Both of us love black women. Period. There wasn't, we didn't have any white woman conversations. I don't have those, and one of the things that's really interesting is that while there's certainly challenges periodically with women of different categories, and I just think generally humility is always a good thing to have, so you can learn how you can control the outcomes in your own life. We both also agree that there's a crisis in terms of the influences that are hitting young Black men. So when I heard Tiana talking about Blueface, I knew exactly who you're talking about because I follow the culture very closely. I've been following Blueface and Krishan for years. First time I heard about Blueface was when he was 20 years old and he said he'd had sex with 3,000 women. I have not had sex with that. I mean, I can't even imagine. I'm over 50, right? And I've been rich for a long time, but I never even thought that would even be safe. I said somebody needs to call the CDC because you're talking about mass infection of STDs, which shows up in the statistics. Nobody talks about it. So the blue faces are out there. Blue faces, and there's a lot of guys similar to him. They, to me, are like a product, almost like a product off an assembly line, like a faulty car that was manufactured in a way where you're producing millions of these cars. So hip hop culture produces what my friend did a documentary called The Nigga Factory. And he said some of hip hop culture, not all of it, but some of it produces just incredibly unhealthy behavior by some of these men. And these men are out there. I don't know how to stop it. I don't think it's ever going to go away anytime soon because the white man's goal is to make sure the Black man is either a little boy, a little girl, or just an idiot, right? And so here's the problem that we had, though. When I got on my knee and proposed to my wife, and I decided to record it, we put it online. It got hundreds of thousands of views, and most of the 99.9% of the views were very positive. But there was a large segment of men who kept calling me a simp. And I didn't understand it. I was confused. I said, well, why? What makes me a simp? I just thought that's what you do. You love a woman, you declare your love, you get on the knee, you propose. And what I found out is that you just have a segment of men that are gonna just be toxic in that way. And women play a part in it too. Women are not off the hook. Because when I look at a motherfucker like a Blueface, excuse my French, I'm not gonna cuss no more, but he's a motherfucker to me. I'm sitting there thinking, who are these women that are laying down with this nasty son of a bitch? Like, who are these women that are even validating this? Because if he was around me, I'd slap his ass. I'd tell him to get away from me. I kid you not. I've had this because I had a young lady I mentored, and she would date Blueface type guys, and I said, I'm sorry, I can't even sit across the table from this man. And so when I go back and I circle back to being called a simp because I just believe in basic ideas, like, I don't know, wild radical things like respecting your woman and things like that. I kind of get it in the sense that when women are chasing the rappers, not all of them, but many of them, not all of them, but guys who imitate the most toxic aspect of hip hop culture, what you're telling men is women don't want to be respected. You're telling men when women chase a Lil Wayne who has more mental health and physical health issues than I can even state, the man got 3 women pregnant at one time. What you're doing is you're telling nice guys, hey, you a sucker for being nice. Why are you out here buying flowers for that hoe? You don't need to buy flowers for no woman. You need to call her a bitch and slap around, tell her she's stupid, and then they're gonna all chase you. And so it takes all of us to create or to manifest this toxicity. It ain't just the men. Just be clear. Whenever a good man gets his heart broken, just like I'm sure women have their version of this as well. When a good man gets his heart broken, when a woman, he runs into, a bad chick that wants to take his money or whatever, and he's all crying and sad, you know what guys do? They get around him. They say, well, see, that's why you can't show respect to these women. If you treat them like, look at Blueface, he got more girls than you'll ever have, and he don't respect women at all. So you're walking around being nice to them. That's not the way to do it. Right. And so ultimately, when you get mature enough and you just learn to ignore it, like I just ignore it. I just kind of commentate on it because I'm too old to fall into that. But I'm telling you, this is what is happening. So don't just look at the bad men are never going to go away. You have to avoid them. That's the only solution. But then on top of that, I think we have to look at how all of us contribute to this. And it ain't just the men. They're reacting to what women love. They love Lil Wayne, and I still don't understand it. I'm done talking. Thank you for listening.
No, we need you back, Dr. Boyce. And there's some in the chat that said, who are these lovely ladies? Well, we have Cinda Williams. Cinda Williams is featured on the movie Mo Better Blues. Am I saying it correctly? Just want to make sure.
That's one of them. Yeah, thank you.
That's one of them, as well as many others. She's an amazing woman, Dr. Donette. She is a PhD. Let's go ahead and give it up for our PhD sister girls. And yes, so, and I'm Tiana Von Johnson. I generated my first $1 million at 27 years old. I've been doing some great things in the space of building brands and work with entrepreneurs. But so I just wanted to address Clarence Fielding in the chat. He wants to know who we are. So we're just going ahead and answer you. But I'm looking at the chat, right? And someone says, I think Teresa Evans says, before you let a man into your life, you know what you will deal with. I don't know how much I agree with that, Teresa Evans. I'm going at it pure, and I'm hoping that someone is going at it pure. So if the goal is don't go at it pure, keep your guard up. Don't go at it pure. I mean, should I do that, or should I do it another way? Like, I don't know, right? Dolphin 4768040. I don't know what type of name that is. Says in Instagram, this is 3 days ago. And again, we want to respond to the comments, which is why I keep going back to it. He said, never in the history of ever has a man of value have seen a woman of value and let her go. So, Then he says the issue is women don't have the value that they think they have. Matter of fact, women today are looked down upon for giving value to a man. For example, if a woman tells her friends group that she's going to cook for a man that she's recently been dating, her friends would even tell her, will look down on that. It looked, but y'all too old anyway. That's what they say.
Y'all too old.
Y'all too old. And the men in your age group are looking for younger women. It's cooked for y'all. Pack it up. Lifelong side chicks. That's what we was called. So I'll toss it over to you, whoever wants to respond to our good friend in the comments.
Well, Tiana, you can't trust everybody. Like, trust has to be earned. And when you first get into a relationship with someone, the mistake that I do see a lot of women make is that they just go full in and put their 100% trust in somebody that they don't know very well. That trust has to be earned and tested. Even if you fall in love with somebody, that love must be tested before you can actually know that person. So I think you can still be pure and be true to yourself, but at the same time, it has to unfold naturally and not, just going 100% in, putting your trust into a person that you don't know very well. So if that's what you're doing, then, think about that a little bit. Anybody else want to comment on what I do have something to say? If anyone else has a comment.
Yeah, super quick, Dr. Alicia. The Dr. Vibe Show says, as Dr. Boy says, before you invest, investigate. That is for men and women. RJN 8580 says, men love the bad boys and the nice guys finish last. That's the issue. Many men are not kind. They are nice in which they pretend to be someone in order to get the woman. Afterwards, the act is over. What do you guys think about that?
Oh, yeah, definitely a representative. You're always going to meet a representative first, right? You meet a representative first, and I've met several representatives, and then over time you learn them. But I think also one of the things that Alicia, Dr. is that you have to be looking. There's an inquiry about your person. I'm sure at this point that Dr. Alicia and Dr. Boyce are still learning things about their partners. And it's a part of our inquiry where we're learning. Even after 7 years, you're going to be learning more. And it's a part about growing. And, you might find out things that you don't like. But then, of course, that respect and that love has grown to another level. So you're working your way through those challenging things. But in the very beginning, we're probably at a point where it's like 1 year and I find out all these things. Your representatives start stepping back and that real person come forward. Nah, I'm a pass on that because you are not who I see myself with down the line. And so even for me as somebody who has been, dating and doing all the things, and I have a person that it's like I've learned and I'm learning over and over new things, and that makes me love and respect you a little bit more as you continue to go on. And if you see something, you address it. And if it's something that you can't get past, then you have to be like, I can't do this. This is just not for me.
Yeah, see, I stopped. As soon as I see the red flags now, zoom, I'm out. I don't wait I'm sorry, no second chances. As soon as I vibe the vibe that you got, there's a flag that's no. I used to be like, they'll find their way. No, no. So I might be their friend, but that's where it is, or acquaintance. But nah, I know right away. No,
Yeah,
because I always
yeah.
knew, and I always said it's okay. I'll figure. No, because I care so much about me. I love to love, but I love this right here first. I'm not. It's not about being selfish. It's not. No, no, no,
Mhm.
no, no. It's about I deserve love. And I deserve the right one, not a perfect person. Ain't no such thing. I ain't nowhere
Mhm.
near perfect. But there's a difference between something showing you a red flag and a quirk, or a difference, or
Mm,
a way we disagree. That's not the same thing. Red flags are very evident. And I'm an empath. I
mm,
see them things right away. And I'm like,
mm,
out of here. You know what I'm saying? I ain't waiting.
mm.
I ain't waiting. And
Well,
that
you know,
means
I like.
alone.
Let me say something about what Cinda said too. I like what you said because I do think that one area where things are different between men and women is, um, I don't know any men who were killed by their partner, but I know at least 5 women who have been, right? And I know women who've almost been killed by their partner. I mean, like, the fact that the violence could be there and it could lead to something deadly heightens the consequences of the red flag, right? I would never have to worry about my wife trying to take my life or something, but if I was that kind of a crazy person, I don't know, I could probably have the strength to do it. But so I do agree with you on that. I think that the ability to identify the red flags, particularly in a society that does promote violence. The strongest influencer on young black men right now is actually hip hop music. And remember, we spent 30 years with Snoop Dogg starting the whole trend of "We don't love them hoes," right? Literally picking up. But what's interesting about that is that when Snoop came along and was teaching men not to love women, not to respect women, he was getting inspiration from a previous generation. He was imitating what the previous generation of men had learned from Hollywood with all those black exploitation movies. My father, who's in his 70s, talks about how when he was 22 years old, all the young black men wanted to be like the Mac, the pimp. And I mean, a pimp is a sex trafficker. We look up to sex traffickers sometimes in our community more than we look up to professors. That is dangerous. That's a problem, right? It's dangerous for the men and the women. It's dangerous for the women for obvious reasons, and then for the men, the fact that these are being presented as role models or men you're supposed to look up to is really, really a problem, right? So I do agree with you that one double standard that I do accept is that I think for women the red flags, the consequences are so much greater. But I also think that it takes a village to destroy a child. I think that the community, you go back to, I never, when I was a young guy, I remember I was like, why would women, if I'm going to treat a lady nice and do good things for her, and I'm a square because I want to go to school, and like why would she want to date this guy? But then I would read books about how when women are younger, especially, there's an attraction to the bad boy. It's the testosterone, it's the confidence, it's all these other things. But unfortunately, that might be the same guy who might cheat, beat you up, kill you, whatever, right? So you have to kind of be mindful and careful of that. Like you're playing with fire, and fire can be great unless you jump in it. Then you're gonna get burned up, right? So the question is, how do you find that balance between what you want and what you need? And I personally don't mind talking about my marriage to Alicia, not because we're perfect, but because I remember processing things in a certain way and trying to understand things. Like one more thing I'll say on that is, like before I approached Alicia and even let her know I was interested, I had to stop myself and I said, okay, you've really been attracted to this woman. What if she's just a terrible girlfriend? What if she just treats her boyfriends like crap, and you're going to get used up because you're going to come in wanting to do all these wonderful things for her? And what if she doesn't appreciate that? So I watched how she behaved. I always want to know not just how you're going to treat me. I want to watch, how do you treat your worst enemy? And so I learned a lot from being her friend and hearing her tell me about her ex-husband. And believe me, if she had said, I'm gonna destroy that son of a bitch, I'm gonna kill him, I'm gonna take him out, blah, blah, I would have stayed away from that with a 10-foot pole. right? But so I think little things like that, just taking your time, really watching people in different situations, I think can give you a lot of insights. Because let's just be clear, in the first 6 to 9 months, most people are not going to present everything that you see. Love is the great distractor. Sex is a bigger distractor, and you're gonna miss their red flags. They're gonna miss yours. You really don't learn a lot about a person until you about a year in, and even then, you still don't really. And if you notice, a lot of people will jump right to bed with somebody after knowing them for a week. That's my 2 cents.
There's so many comments, and thank you, Dr. Boyce. There's so many comments. Harmony Sees You says, coming up on 3 years, dating a man with 2 young boys and no ring. I knew him for a couple of years before we began dating. I've cooked, helped clean, improved his life, now preparing to walk away. Sorry for that. Gamer says, whatever you see, the red flags after you get married. Yep. In the comments on Instagram 3 days ago, this was kind of interesting. Someone says, and I want to hear your commentary on this. Someone says, I don't know how y'all ended up on my feed, but we're going to call it fate. All men aren't the same, first of all. Second, it sounds like everyone in the room has the exact same law of attraction. So they're saying that this is the law of attraction, right? Then they're saying feelings change, the who you really are comes to light, or a woman that actually likes Black men appears. Some of you are unattractive. That's what they called us, and are attracted to handsome men. So their thoughts, some of their thoughts are that we're unattractive. We just are attractive to handsome men, and that's why we don't get to. Sorry.
Well, we know that's a lie. They need to just shut up.
No, they said we look crazy. Okay.
have they seen Cinda singing in Mo Better Blues and look at my wife and all of y'all? I mean, come on now.
They said we look crazy.
You gotta ignore some stuff. Some stuff ain't irrelevant.
They said some of us are bitter. Some of us are bitter from young relationships. Some of you are trapped in your own success, meaning because you're winning, you allow your feelings or your thoughts to give you God-like or goddess-like views of yourself. They go on to say your thoughts process isn't on relationships or finding a mate. You're devoted to a job, a way of life, and in some cases, another woman. So now they called us lesbians. So I'm gonna toss it over to you, Dr. Jonette, for your commentary on that.
So what I will say about that is that we have to understand as a people that, this is bigger. Like what we said, what we did made them frustrated. But I think that it's more about sitting with it. And once they start to talk about these challenges, these are all, again, attacks, right? Sometimes the things that are challenging us aren't necessarily the things that are attacking us are simply things that we haven't looked at and examined. So like we all talked about, we've done the work. We've been through several things. We've gone through different relationships, and now we're looking within ourselves. I think that what unfortunately a lot of our people that commented didn't do is, one, they didn't spell check. That's one. But they did not look within themselves. And that's what I try to get people to do a lot more of, is be self-aware. We were a group of self-aware individuals who came on here and wanted to speak our truth, right? And I think the direction that they took it and attacking us is a reflection of what you've been through. But like my comment said, and I'm glad, I think someone pinned the comment that I posted. It's a free country. It's a free space. This is a podcast. This is women having a conversation about our lived experiences, right? Some of us on here are PhDs where we've studied people's lived experiences, and then we bring them to truth and let other people see what we found. And that's what we were doing. We were individuals that came together with experiences, and we brought light to that. And we're using that to learn from each other. We're using that to continue to grow in ourselves as successful Black women, as individuals who are not married, successfully, like some of us on here who are looking for that. And to also know what we've had and what we no longer want and what we want to look forward to. And I think the unfortunate part about it is that the people who were commenting weren't looking inwardly. They're reacting instead of responding to what we were talking about. So they don't have that emotional regulation within themselves. We're intentional about doing this. We talked about this before we actually sat down in that room and have the conversation, and we were all intentional about what we wanted to say, because it's driven by a purpose. And so the purpose is to bring light to this conversation where us as 5 women were having a conversation, but there are a lot of Black women out here who needed to hear this. I see a lot of people in the conversation today saying, good conversation, I really need to be here. And then we have someone like Dr. Boyce who is around us and able to give great insight from a male perspective, because they're like, I saw someone even put, Dr. Boyce, why are you even on here? Because he's married to one of the women, and he too believes that this conversation needed to be had. So now we're bashing Dr. Boyce for sitting here and having this conversation and sharing this. Like,
Dr. Boyce, there was blessed to be Anthony in the comments. This is for you. I really want to hear your commentary on this. This is, I wonder why white women don't sit around publicly and discuss men like this. Oh, yeah. They don't want to send the wrong message out there regarding their men. That's why. What's your feedback on that?
No, I mean, they got podcasts like Call Her Daddy, which is, I'm guessing, women with daddy issues, basically blaming men for a lot of their problems. I don't know what it is exactly. I don't watch it. But I think, in fact, I think sometimes white feminists can be much more of a problem than anybody else. So, I don't really, I cannot, and it would make no sense to ever put all women into a bucket in most issues. I think about the women that I see the most. It's not that I cannot see a young Miami saying, spend that shit, but, I see a Dr. Alicia who says, invest that shit. I see what's going on. I see the Krishan Rocks in the world, and they exist. But I also see women that are trying to be good humans, like all of you here. And I think that, in my view, that's really what we need, is to just understand that the world is diverse. All white people are not the same. All Black people are not the same, right? People are different, and it doesn't even make them worse or less worthy than any of us. It just means sort of figuring out, like, what size, what fits you, almost like a foot in a shoe. What is your size, right? So when I was looking for a human to share my life with, I needed to find somebody who fit me, which was my wife, rather than spending my time being upset about the women who did not fit me. Like a real life example. 25 years ago, I'm a young grad student, ain't got no money, trying to, looking for love, you're 31 years old, living life. And I would, I did online dating. This was before anybody knew who the heck I was or even cared. And I probably had 100 emails from women that said, I'm sorry, but I don't date men under 6 feet tall. Right. I'm sure I could have done a whole podcast about that. Well, do you know that only 14% of all men are over 6 feet tall? How do you, right? But I knew about this because I read books and stuff, and the books actually say this is real science, like based on what the nature says. And I know it's all debatable, but literally women are naturally attracted to that top 10% of men. The tall guy comes in. We got a son who's 6'9". The kid's made it, by the way, the baby. So
we're here. Oh God.
Yeah. So Quincy walks into a room and he's handsome. His parents have great genes. And you see the girls all looking up at him. And I'm sitting there thinking, oh my God, he is going to break so many hearts. And I told him, I said, you're going to have women that are going to call you a dog just because you did not pick her. That's because for whatever reason, because love ain't logical, all 10 of these women really think you're going to be their man. How you can't be a man to all 10 women.
See now.
Because if you do, wait, hold on, babe. I'm gonna let you. I want you. But if you do try to make them all happy, then you're gonna be a dog. And if you tell the other 9, hey, I'm sorry, I'm spoken for, somebody's gonna get mad at you, right? And this is just life, right? So really, I find it's more productive to just realize, okay, everybody ain't for me, but I need to make sure I pick somebody who is. Right. And I think if you do that, I think you get a lot more results. And then when you find the person that's really a fit for you, you treat them well. you put your best foot forward. You don't play games. You don't play that whole, like, I'm not going to sit around with my wife and say, well, I don't want to be no simp. I ain't doing nothing nice for you. No, I'm going to be as nice and as loving as I can possibly be. But let's be clear. I don't treat all women like that. Every woman ain't going to get that treatment. You get it because you are the one I picked. And I want to maximize my probability of having a good relationship. And in my view, that makes sense. And I'm probably biased on that because I think like an investor, finance is my field. So one thing about investing is before you put your chips on the table and invest in something, you investigate what you're invested in. And then when you do it to the best of your ability. So you maximize your chances of having a success. That's how I view marriage. That's how I view everything. So there you go.
Boys, every time you talk, I always want to jump in. Let me just say something. I do not want to ascribe to this whole idea that there are 10% of these men that all the women are after only this 10%. I'm not gonna give into the red pill.
Have you been to an HBCU campus lately, babe?
That red pill lie. I'm not gonna believe the fact that 10%. There's only 10 because that's like an incel sort of thing that I hear a lot. That is not accurate. There are people come in all different shapes and sizes. And everybody of different shapes and sizes, they get with other people of different shapes and sizes. It's not just only one group of men that are marriage material, little tiny group, and they're 6 feet or higher, and those are the only people getting married. Because if that was true, then we wouldn't be married.
Don't misquote me now. Don't misquote me.
Okay, I'm just making sure.
I didn't say all the women want those men. I'm saying that on average, the guy who is 6'8", 240 pounds, who's the star of the basketball team, is going to have more options than the little fat nerd in the computer science lab. That's
okay,
just
the fat
life.
nerd. But my thing is this: the fat nerd in the computer science lab is going to find another fat nerd for him. So I don't think, you know what I mean. So I'm just saying.
Oh, yeah, everybody can find somebody. Everybody can find somebody, but it's harder for some than others.
You're gonna have, in terms of dating, there's not much data because I look at data. There's not much data on dating, but what there is what's data, out there
on ratios like HBCUs. 2 out of every 3 students on the HBCU campus is a woman. That's a fact.
Well, not at your school.
No, well, not Morehouse because it's all dudes, and some of the dudes there,
Well, yeah.
But I'm not making fun of it. I'm not saying that's bad or anything. It's a reality, right? That's just and someone might be looking for a man, and I'm not judging, but I will say this: if you look at the statistics on HBCU campuses, 2 out of every 3 students is a female. There was just a recent report that everyone was alarmed about that said fewer Black men are going to college.
There are fewer Black men going to college. I do know that is true, but that doesn't mean that there's not anybody for you. So
no, I don't think that there's no one for you. It's it's like the job market. There's a job for everybody, but everybody don't get the same job. Some people become surgeons and make $400,000 a year. Some people got to work at Wendy's, right? And dating is kind of the same way. There's some people, and you had, and I'm going to tell you, my wife don't admit it, but she had pretty girl privilege. When I met her, I would watch, the star of the basketball team who was 6'9", and everybody knew he played for the Atlanta Hawks and made millions of dollars. He would pick her up from work every day. And Alicia really thought that he just did it because he had nothing better to do. And I thought that was the funniest thing in the world. I thought that was so cute. And so, but for someone who may not have everything that they're, that they would like to offer into the dating market, it might be a little bit tougher, right? But it doesn't mean that everybody can't have somebody. You're 100% correct.
All right. That's the only point I was trying to make out there. Like you're like any type of language that's deterministic, I've always across the board have an issue with,
It can't be
going to mean this because we don't know that.
It can't be deterministic, but I think it should be somewhat realistic, like whatever that ends up looking like for people. And I do know that I think there is somebody for everybody, but dating is harder for some than for others. And I think that always has to be kind of considered as well. And I think that when it's
where I'm sitting and the type of conversations I have in my practice and everything, where I'm sitting, dating is really difficult for a lot of people. whether they're beautiful, like somebody like Tiana. Can we agree that Tiana is drop dead gorgeous? You can say she's pretty as my husband. That's fine. I'm not threatened by that.
Yeah, everybody here is beautiful.
Dr. Green is gorgeous. And we know Cinda Williams is absolutely beautiful. That doesn't mean, like, we still have that real table talk. And we still had, people still had complaints. And then we didn't talk about Constance. Constance did call in, by the way. Constance, if you out there, come on, join us. But there was still things. So it's not okay. There is a pretty privilege, but it's not that people who are considered pretty by whose standards, whatever standards those are, if you adhere to a certain set of standards.
But there is a standard. There are scientific measures of attractiveness that it doesn't mean that no one has something that's attractive. But like, I'll give you a quick example, and then I'm gonna stop talking because I'm talking too much. When I used to work at the University of Kentucky, I was known as the smart guy. I had the best GPA of all the black students. So there were some women that found that attractive, I'm sure. But I also worked in the basketball dorm. And here, all these 6'8", 6'9" Negroes had a trail of women coming through the whole night. And I saw it all because I was the spook that sat by the door. Everybody had to sign in when they came in. And I would see Cindy sign in at 7 o'clock, Sally sign in at 8 o'clock. Another girl signs in at 9 o'clock. All these women competing for the same guys, right? So these factors do, I think, make a difference. And what I see consistently with dating, when people get to complaining, in my opinion, I think a lot of times it's because there might be a misalignment. It might be that you're searching for something that does, like when all the men that would get on Kevin Samuels' podcast and complain about women all day, I would say to them, well, maybe you're chasing women that have options that are better than you. And you're mad that she doesn't want to date a postal worker because she's got a medical doctor.
Let me just, okay.
And I'm not saying that that's okay. I'm saying, though, seriously, I'm saying like they say, act your wage. That's it. Like I knew that when the 6'8" basketball star came in, he was typically gonna have a selection that I did not have. It did not mean my girlfriend did not love me. It just meant that he had a pick of the litter. I had my little litter, but it was a baby litter. Right. And I think
I think what we forget is that even those men are lonely boys.
They can be.
When I've treated athletes and they are lonely. And it's the opposite problem with men. Women, of course, they're like, okay, there's not enough men around for me to date. I do hear women say this, but what I hear men say a lot is that there's a lot of women to date, but not enough good ones. Not enough ones that I'm interested in. And a lot of men have an abundance problem, but they can't find the right one. And a lot of times they themselves feel very lonely. Even in a sea of women, the basketball players and football players who had a sea of women around them, they too were feeling very, very lonely because they did not have real connections with people. They know those women were just there because they're trying to shoot their shot at the next NFL, NBA player. But those men did not feel connected to them. And nobody wants to be used like that. Those men did not want to be used. The men that I've spoken to who are athletes, I've talked to many athletes in my practice, and that's their issue. So everybody has a cross to bear, even rich athletes. Like, how do I know this person isn't for me or for me for my money? And so that is a dilemma, and they do feel very lonely. Anyway, we won't have to go back and forth with boys because you know how we are.
Let me jump in really quick. So I'm listening to the conversation, and I promise you all, like, I'm torn right now, right? Because I'm in this space at 45. I know some of you said I was 60, but I'm 45, and I would love to have someone amazing and wonderful. But here's the thing. I really am at a place where I'm losing interest in my black men. I am. I'm looking at a lot of black men who don't love us, who don't look at us the same. They are attracted to each other. They want what we want. And I'm not here to like go in on LGBTQ or like what that whole space is. I love people for who they love. but I feel like we are losing a lot of men who want a beautiful Black woman, especially older, as we were called in the comments, right? Um, it's weird to me. I was shocked by that. But I was looking at some terms, right? They said asexual, little to no sexual attraction. They said demisexual, sexual attraction may develop only after forming a strong emotional bond. And gray sexual, sexual attraction happens very rarely, weakly, or only under particular circumstances. I think I'm a gray sexual at this point. Now I'm gray because I no longer like, I think the idea of monogamy, I don't know how I feel about that today. Now, if you would have asked me this 3 or 4 years ago, I probably would have had a different conversation, but I don't know if I feel like that's realistic today. I feel like, and then I don't know that I want to deal with that, by the way. I feel like men love men. I think that's on the rise. And I think that they don't see us the same. They don't look at us as beautiful queens that we are. They just have a disdain and a disgust for us. Now, I'm not talking about all Black men. I know there's a lot of Black men like, hold on, sis, I ain't her, I ain't him. But I do feel like that's what I'm seeing. I'm trying to unsee it. I'm trying. I really am, but I don't see it. So I'm like, what I'm not going to do is I'm not going to disillusion myself to be like, oh, one day, like, you know, my good Christian sisters be like, keep the faith, stay focused. Listen, I don't want to be keeping faith for the next 10 years. And then I'm 55 and then I'm 65 and then I'm 75 and I'm still keeping the faith. I just want to live a good life. Happy, healthy, wealthy, joyous, amazing, and wonderful. And I'm not going to no longer worry about if he comes and because I'm going to keep it real with you. The men that has come into my life, and it's very unfortunate, when I really think back, I really think some of them they really just didn't like women. I really think they were forced to like they're trying to like me. I don't know. It's very weird. So I'll pass this off to you. What do you think?
Who wants to take that?
I don't know, but I hope you're ready for what's about to be sliding in your DMs after this, because they gonna be all up in your DMs. You better start getting ready. Start swiping.
I think that she has is making good points in the sense that it's I think Black people are frustrated with each other, and I think that the racial climate that we've had to endure as a community has caused a lot of division, broken families. You know, it's hard to build relationships when they drop crack into your community and did all these other things they did. The only reason I've endured the chaos of it all was because I was lucky enough to watch my father love my mother for 50 years, and to internally I define that as a standard of manhood. So it's almost, I compare it to being a marathon runner. You know, no, it's not natural to run a marathon. You know, it's more natural to eat ice cream and watch Netflix, right? But there are people who want to run marathons, and it's usually because somebody gave them a value system that said, okay, it's worth it. You got to finish this. Because anybody else would say, why in the hell am I out here running 16 miles with another 8 miles to go? That's crazy. That's insane, right? So my point is to say that when you're talking about marriage and family and all that, and monogamy and all these things that come with it, there are it's hard. It requires like a lot of discipline that isn't always consistent with what you might do when you're single and living. And so if you don't have a reason why, then you're not going to finish. It's almost like it's like going to college. You know, for a lot of first generation college students who didn't have parents that went to college, they're more likely to drop out because they didn't grow up in a house where their parents said you must finish college no matter what. So you have a horrible day, a horrible week, or a horrible month, you're going to just deal with the challenge as opposed to walking away where somebody else might say, well, why am I even doing this? So I think it's hard. I think that everything Tiana's feeling is difficult. I would just say, though, for sure, just know that, you know, there's a lot of men in the same boat with you. You know, I was raised to believe that it's good to be a good man. And the good men are just as frustrated with the bad ones as you are. And one of the things that happens, unfortunately, is trauma, this virus that just hits everybody. It's like a zombie virus. So you're trying to be a good person, a good man or a good woman. You run into somebody who's been hit by the zombie virus of trauma. Like, so maybe let's say you're trying to be a good woman, but this man dealt with a woman who, ripped his heart out of his body. Then he's going to show up as a different person than he would have before he went through that experience. And I think women are the same way. I think Black women are heavily. I think Black women go through a lot that isn't acknowledged. I have a heart for them. I think about how many times I've seen. My father used to work in crimes against children, and he used to say stuff that isn't going to sound politically correct, but he said people have no idea how many of these little girls are getting molested by their mother's boyfriends, and the little boys too, right? And it infuriates him, and it infuriates me, and so I just think about all the things Black women go through, and then what the world does. I don't think the world does them any favors if they convince you that men are always the problem and that men are the only ones that are struggling. No, I think all of us need to heal, right? I think all of us have to level up, right? I'm sorry, you might look good and have a master's degree, and that's a wonderful thing, but that ain't the same. That ain't always your master's degree ain't gonna really help you out in a relationship with a good man. I didn't care about my wife's education that much. I respect it, but I didn't marry her for money and access to education. I married her because I wanted to be next to a soft woman, right? Whatever that means, right? It's biased, but whatever that means. So I think I have found, for example, as a man, my definition of a man had to go beyond just my credentials, what I look like, or how much money I have. And I think for women, again, if I'm allowed to give some of this perspective from a man's point of view, is that I think there's a whole list of womanhood items that get missed over when all we focus on is what you look like and how much education you have. I can just tell you, my level up occurred where I learned the dating market changes for people is when I got money and I had a little bit of status, I had a lot of options. And what I will say is that it was not hard to find beautiful women with a lot of education. Black women have so much education and all y'all look good. I don't care what age you are. A black woman can look good at 65 or 70. Come on now, right? But it's like, I'd be like, is that all you got? Like, that's it? Because when I would think about good feminine energy, I would think about I don't know, it's probably idealistic, but I would think about like a Claire Huxtable, right? I know she's a figment of my imagination, but it's like, okay, here you have this woman who was as high powered as you can get. She could get anything out of a man that she wanted, but she didn't come in with a sledgehammer. She didn't come in like a dude. She came in like a woman, and she used that feminine power to make it happen, right? And to me, that was admirable, and she didn't show up. She wasn't trying to be a bad bitch. She wasn't twerking. But you knew she was a woman, right? And sometimes for men, I can just tell you in private conversations I have with men, the guys that have money and stuff, that's what they really admire the most. And they feel like some of that gets lost. Just like you all probably feel that some of the masculinity has been lost as well. We know we got a lot of men out here that are nothing but bearded babies. They 55-year-old children. And many of them are following behind men who never grew up. Like Alicia will tell you, I tell her all the time, I say, I hate 50 Cent's Instagram page because here you have this guy who's 50 years old, who influences 30 million people. And all he does is put up childish memes and bully people. That's an embarrassment. It's like you should be educating people, elevating your people, leading your people to a better life. And all you're doing, literally, I can't tell the difference between your page and a teenager. That's what you're doing.
I think the problem is the 30 million people, because if 30 million people weren't watching him, there would be no 50 cents. So
true.
It's what people are attracted to. You know what I'm saying? It's what, and I, as a 60-year-old woman, y'all were right. I'm that. Okay. You were right about me. None of the rest of these people. Okay. What I'm finding is that the men that I'm meeting now that are around my age, which is my preference, they have been hurt so many times that they don't want to deal with it. They like me a lot. They see in me a good woman, but their favorite thing to say is if we'd have met 20 years ago. They all say that because they are through. They want a woman to sleep with. They don't mind me being their friend. They don't want more. They don't want to be committed to anybody. They'd rather hang out with their guys, go do whatever they do there, and just know, because they're just tired of being hurt. And I think a lot of people are getting there. And then men that are younger than me that come at me are all, in a different phase. They're just in a different phase. You know, they're running after kids with their ex, with their baby mamas, and I don't want that either. You know, so it's like, you know, it's just. I'm staying in the belief that if I am meant to have the person that I want to have, it'll happen. I'm just gonna keep on improving on me until it does.
That's great. Can I just say, to Tiana's point, because I think also, because I know we got to get ready to wrap up, a lot of us women, based on all the things that Tiana has just said, put a shell and a protection around ourselves after a certain time, right? And because we've had to lead with that masculine energy opposed to that soft feminine energy, we now have this this persona that men look at as, you know, why do you have to be so masculine? Why do you have to be so strong? But what they don't realize is the experiences that we have, because we couldn't depend on the previous relationships that we've been in, because we've been in relationships and we've been proven that when you are, you know, submissive, or we don't become submissive because we don't trust you enough to become submissive, then we make decisions because nobody else wants to make these decisions. And we learn how to then become these individuals who come across as just fully masculine. And we become emotionally guarded because when we did try to be vulnerable with a man that we thought was it, you know, it was used against us. And so now, unfortunately, I think the question should be is, what happened to her as a man coming in and learning and meeting her? The question should be, well, what happened to her over the years to make her this way? And then use that opportunity to learn how to be a different person than all the experiences that I've had in the past. Because an educated, accomplished, independent woman doesn't necessarily lack femininity. It's still deep down in us, but we've gotten to the point where, you know, like Tiana just expressed, I've been through it all. I spent years developing different parts of myself to survive, succeed, protect, provide, and persevere. And so now in this relationship, I protected myself so much in this season. When I meet the person that may be it, I gotta still be strong without being so in control until I learn. And that, to the point of what we talked about earlier, it's about learning, and it takes discipline and work over time. And can I receive what I'm looking for without coming across as weak? And
with that, I want to address sorry to cut you off, with a holistic yoga center. But before we do, I want Dr. Alicia to play the viral clip one more time, and then we'll address some of the comments. Thank you so much.
Okay, let me go over here and play it. Okay, everybody, y'all get your phones out. Follow us, the Real Table Talk podcast. Here we go. We're going to play the clip. Where is it? Here. A group of women talk about men. Here we go. Let me know in the chat if you can hear. Oh, wait.
If they're going to leave you, and a lot of people have abandonment
to you.
They do.
And they don't want you, but they don't want nobody else to have you, so they're just wasting your time.
That's fear.
That is
fear.
That's selfishness.
That is selfishness. Dr. Alicia and I go back and forth on this topic because all of that, because
I know butterflies and rainbows. And
I love it. Lovely and wonderful. No, these little jokers are weirdos, scammers, narcissists. Okay. They prey on women. No, because we're gonna stop. They just fear. No, these Negroes is weird.
They just lie.
They just a freaking liar.
All of that.
Well, I wouldn't say they all lie. Some of them. A lot of them. Some of them really, honestly know what they want, and the fear is what holds them back. Right. And ego is a thing too. I'm saying it and I will never apologize for it. Sometimes what challenges a man is that his ego is bigger than his heart. Right. And when your ego is bigger than your heart, the fear of the unknown, the fear of what may not work out, the fear of the challenges that could come if you take a leap of faith.
There are too many men out here not doing the work. Yes. I'm not excusing it anymore. I'm not being patient and waiting for your day to come. We are grown for real, for real. And you have to do the work, and you have to go deep inside yourself, or don't talk to me. Yes. Because every man that I've met over the last decade their mission was to break me down. Like, why you bother? I didn't bother you.
Right.
I was over there minding my business and leave yours alone. So why did you come bothering me? And to your point, they know what they're doing in this regard. I met a dude who I think he had different pockets of women doing different things for him. Straight hobo, straight broke weirdo. And I think that no, seriously, because let me get her to help with a car note. Let me help her with this. Let me help her to get me on the stage. Let me help her to play with your mother like that. No, I'm sorry, that was wrong. But the point is, because I'm over it, y'all. I'm over it.
I get it. You don't know if they're going to take advantage of you, if they're going to leave.
I'm over it. And I know there was a lot of controversy in the comments. Before I get to that, let me address Holistic Yoga Center. She said, all this talking and not one of y'all are saying anything. Where's the conversation on spiritual, emotional, and mental healing from both parties? All this talking, but offering no solutions. So I want to shift the conversation a little bit so we could address you and to everybody who understands or would like a better understanding where it speaks to spiritual, emotional, and mental healing. So here's the thing, right? I've done the work. I've done the work to develop myself, to strengthen my emotional intelligence, to work with someone, whether they're at the top of their game financially or not, whether they are emotionally there or not, whether they are at my status or not. I've had every level of a man I've communicated with to try to see if maybe, just maybe, I can work with this man or this man could work with me. And I find that very unfortunate that there's a lot of men who could, and I hear this often, and it bothers me. I don't care about her degree. I don't care. And I'm not saying Dr. Boy said this in this vein, but I do hear men say, we don't necessarily care about your credentials or your success. Why? Why? Why don't you care? It's not that I need you to care, but I want a Black man to say, wow, beautiful queen, I salute you. What I've gone through as a Black woman, let's stop playing with it. Let's stop having these conversations that is like, I work fucking hard. I bust my ass. I raised my children. My son's father was killed in the Bronx, where I'm from. I've had to figure out how to raise a Black man who's now 25 years old by myself. So Black man, if you meet me, don't come bothering me when I'm sitting here trying to raise two Black kings. That's 20 and 25. Don't come fucking up my life and come and bringing your foolishness, your lack of training, development, healing, work, spiritual development, understanding, mindset. Leave me alone. I said, go play with your mother like that, and I apologize, but I ain't. Go play with her like that. Because I'm somebody that's out here busting my ass, working hard, trying, building, pushing, grinding, doing all the things to build my world, build my life under all my circumstances. So yes, my son's father was shot down and murdered and left for dead. My son was 7. I had to pick my son up from school and let him know that his father was killed. My son came into my room yesterday and cried. 25 years old, Black man. And I said to him, cry, son. Lay in my bed and cry. It's okay. He said, Mom, I'm sorry to put his business out there, but Mom, I'm having a vulnerable moment. And I said, it's okay. Weep in your mother's bed. Weep in your mother's bed, because there's no Black man that told him that's okay. There's no man that told him it's okay. You can be hurt. You can weep. You can feel sad. Whatever it is that you're going through. I let my Black son lay in my bed last night and weep. So when I think about another Black man that comes into my life, where I am over here raising these two kings, I'm in 2 doctoral programs simultaneously. I run businesses, I build, I help women. 15 years, I ran my organization, Women Doing It Big. I pour into people. I deal with betrayal. I'm dealing with life. Yes, I have a problem with that Black man who meets me wherever he does, whether it's online, in person, and bothers me. Who stops what I'm doing while I'm raising my Black kings? Who stops what I'm doing while I'm trying to just be a great woman? Trying to figure out my spirituality. Trying to figure out where I'm at with it. Trying to make sure I could afford my bills in life and dealing with things. I am out here trying. So no, I don't respect a man who will walk into a space that I've built, knowing what he knows, knowing his motive, knowing his intentions. No, I don't respect a Black man who walks into my space and says, yeah, I'm going to break her down. What did I do to you, man? What did I do to you, sir? I was over here just working, building, trying, grinding. So yes, my commentary was about, I'm over it. I'm over the man who intentionally comes into my life with a motive. I'm over a man that comes into my life with his unhealed self. I'm over it. And I don't apologize for that. So with that, I yield to you.
Yeah, I mean, yes. Thank you so much. Before we move on, for sure, I definitely want to honor what you just shared, Tiana. And, thank you, really, thank you from the bottom of my heart for just allowing yourself to be vulnerable with us like that. Because, I think the real conversation here is that behind some of these stories are real people who've experienced real pain. And I like that when you talk about being in a relationship with a man who slowly broke you down emotionally, and then shared about your son and what he went through, I think that's very powerful. And I think that we can reflect on our choices and we can examine why we stayed in relationships and didn't see the red flags. There's a lot of conversation in the chat. I see y'all in the chat about red flags, why we overlook them. And, sometimes we can take responsibility for our healing, but none of that means we deserve that sort of harm that happened to us. And I think that they would have been so nice if a Black man had weighed in on that in the comments. We didn't see that. And, sometimes our children see our pain even when we think that we're protecting them from it. Like they see what a lot of Black women, say what you want about Black women, we hold it together for our families. And that's the truth. And so I hear your story, and I think that's great that you're talking about it. So thank you for commenting on and talking about that, Tiana. People who are watching, who recognizes themselves in your story, like your story is a story that a lot of people can recognize themselves in their story. And you can love someone and still decide that the way they love you is hurting you. And some of you guys who are in relationships and it may be going, you may see some patterns that you're unhealthy with. You can grieve. I tell a lot of my clients, you can grieve what you hope the relationship would become and still choose to let that person go. So, yeah. So anybody want to comment before we wrap up?
Yeah, I was just talking to your son, and I was telling him about our topic. Yeah, I was talking to your handsome 6'9" son, and we were talking about Blueface. And I was, well, we were laughing because we were thinking like neither one of us can identify with a man like that, right? And I said, yeah, we were talking about Blueface. You know who that is? He said, yeah, you're the same age as him, but their behaviors are completely different. And I said, in my view, the answer to stuff like that is, to bad people, bad men, bad women, is, the only thing you can control, unfortunately, is what you do. There's a saying that says everybody wants to change the world, but nobody wants to change themselves. And I'm not saying that that's the answer for everybody, but I've learned that's the only thing I can change. I can't change how people behave and the craziness and the shenanigans that happen in the world, but I can remember that they also, you kind of teach people how to treat you. And when you walk into situations and you let them know what will and won't be tolerated, then certain people may walk away, and certain people are going to rise to the challenge. And those are the people that I always wanted in my life, but again, this is a hard conversation, and I don't think anybody has it figured out. I know I don't. And anything I did figure out, it took me a long time to understand that. Right. So I just appreciate being invited to the conversation. Thank you all for having me here. And I think we should just keep working on this. I think that the healing part is something we all agree on for sure. So thank you for bringing me in. I appreciate that.
And we're definitely winding it down to our 2-hour mark. I'm looking at the comments, and someone said, Tiana, deep healing yet to come. God can give you real respect for any other man who hasn't accomplished what you have. They have stories of their own. Get to know men without attaching to them. That's Linda Evans Johnson. There was also someone in the comment, Mr. Dame 19, that says earlier she admitted she was looks driven. She's venting that some attractive men are POS. I just want to address that really quick. So I think that it's okay that everybody attracts to who they attract to. And I may joke about a fine chocolate drop, but I think at the end of the day, it's really about who my soul connects to and who I attract to, whether that's somebody that's a chocolate drop or whether that's somebody that's a light-skinned chocolate bar. The fact of the matter is that I opened my heart to someone who I thought was legitimately looking to build something meaningful. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that. Sisters, I commend you, myself, and all of us who are out here seriously saying we're opening up our heart. I commend us because we're doing the right thing. My heart is not closed. I'm open to someone amazing, but I'm also not playing games with you Negroes. Okay. I'm not ignoring red flags. I'm not ignoring orange flags. I'm not ignoring slight pink ones either. I met someone recently who I caught myself because he called a woman a bitch in every other sentence. I chucked that up from, he from New York. No, we talk. We from New York, right? But I had to pause even on that and say, is that the kind of, I don't, you ain't graduate from that? I'm just saying, we all get to graduate from something, right? We all get to graduate. I'm from the Bronx, BX, stand up. My aunts lived in River Park Towers. If you know anything about the Bronx, you know about River Park Towers. That's still a place you don't want to go. Okay, we lived across the street, 1750 Cedric Avenue, the home of hip hop. Okay, so trust me, I'm rooted in the Bronx. I say all of that to say that I understand pop culture, I understand hip hop, I understand all the things, but I also understand a man who knows how to sit down and say, beautiful black woman. I understand a man that understands how to have a conversation about psychology, or a man that understands how to have a conversation about business, a man that understands how to have a conversation about my goals and dreams and his goals and dreams. Not talking to you every other word about this bitch this bitch that, this bitch this bitch that. We ain't on the same level. And I'm not going to ignore that because you look good. I'm not going to ignore that because you packing. I'm not going to ignore that because you might be able to twist me upside down like a pretzel. Sorry. Now, if my choice as a grown-ass woman is to have that experience, so be it. It ain't really my thing. I've been abstinent for about 5 or 6 years. I'm dried like the desert. I probably had a little slip up or two, but the point is, I really ain't out here dropping it like it's hot. It ain't really my thing. I get so connected to a kiss, a hug, and a good smile, and a good scent of cologne. So for me, I ain't the one. I get attached to it all. So, and I know that as women, we do get attached, because especially the women that would love to have somebody. And that's a dangerous game you play. It's a dangerous fine line when you start attaching your soul to somebody. So I don't apologize. This is my rap. I don't apologize to the men that are out here, good men looking for good quality women. I salute you, King. I respect a person like Dr. Boyce, who is admirable, honorable, respect his queen. I love what I see. We do look, just to say, we look at what our good girlfriends and what they have, and we live vicariously through them, and yes, sis, yes, you got your dope pocket. Let me get me my Dr. Boyce. type of thing. So I respect that and I love it. Dr. Boyce, you got any good cousins, little friend, little anybody? No?
I'll
Okay,
keep
just
looking. I'll look around for you.
just saying. Me and my good sis Constant Carter, we are looking to do a singles situation. We don't know what we're doing yet, but we just want to like have this experience that we had on this podcast with like 100 singles. Like we really want to do something like that. I'm hosting a unavailable experience retreat in San Juan, Puerto Rico, September 11th through the 14th. If you're a sister girl on this line and you just want to go unavailable with us and you just want to like be free from it all, I'm not doing a bunch of teaching, lecturing, any of that. I'm just going to lay by the pool if I feel like it. I might go to ride an AV. I might get on a horse. I don't know what I'm going to do, but I'm taking 12 women. I have space for 3 or 4. If that is you and you just want to get away with us, inbox me on Instagram at Tiana Von Johnson. So you can get away with us for our unavailable experience where I'm going to be doing it, like I said, September 11th through the 14th. And I'm going to be doing it Valentine's weekend in Bermuda. So if you want to travel with me, you're a single lady, you ain't got no date, you ain't got no good man, and you just want to like hang out in Bermuda or Valentine's weekend, shoot some good content, dress up and act like we got a man. I'm just joking. That has been inbox me at Instagram at Tiana Von Johnson. So my final words is, ladies, I'm not apologizing. I'm happy that I'm in a great space. I've never been single and in a great space because I've always been single hoping. I'm not hoping. I'm just being. I'm living. I'm enjoying. I'm building. I'm growing. I'm grinding. So that's my final commentary. I'll toss it over to you, Cinda, and then Dr. Donette, and then we'll go Dr. Alicia and wrap it up with Boyce.
I just want to say thank you for allowing me to be here with you today. I really appreciate and love everyone on this panel and the people out there, those that are in agreement and that aren't. And for the young person I was talking about the solutions, there is a time and place to talk solutions. So it's an issue when you're degrading the experience that we're having, because if we're communicating at all, that is a spiritual solution. And I'm so glad that I was a part of it. And I wish the world well. I wish us all well.
Good stuff. Dr. Donette.
All right. So as we close out, I want to say that, if I or we, something we said made you angry or frustrated, uncomfortable, I don't want you to just simply dismiss this conversation. I want you to sit with it. I want you to ask yourself why what we said made you uncomfortable. That's the point of what I do. I talk about self-awareness, emotional regulation, intentionality, motivation, ownership of impact. Take that, own it. Relational awareness and emotional influence. And that's what Say More is. So when you disagree with me, you disagree with others, challenge people, bring these things to light. We all need work. Women need work. Men need work. But before we can do that, we have to be self-aware about what it is we're going through and what we have been through, what our experiences are. And what this, so think about what this conversation made me think about myself, and invite you to explore why it made you feel that way so you can improve yourself. And so just step back and kind of look at that and then work your way through it.
Good stuff. And Linda Evans Johnson, thank you, sis. I see you in the comments. She says, travel, go to Jamaica, London, meet Black men from other places. Listen, I might have to take you up on that offer. I might have to get up. I might have to get out there and see what's going on.
Oh no, you don't get your passport. Oh Lord.
But go ahead, toss it to you, Dr. Alicia.
Yeah, I just want to thank everybody for coming on up to the table today. Our panelists, thank you so much. Everybody in the chat, we got a lot of people joining us. Thank you all. Follow us. The Real Table Talk Pod, because we got another episode. Y'all, this is just the beginning. There's another conversation we did in Miami. I'd like to see how that. No, this one was Miami. We have a conversation that we did in Orlando, and that really is coming. Maybe we'll have to load that conversation next because it is really, really wonderful. But one thing that we know that is true, men are hurting. Black men are hurting. Black women are hurting. I think that's the biggest thing I got from the comments. And I think just too often we are talking kind of at each other, and I don't see a lot of listening. There wasn't a lot of listening in the comments. And I think tonight we kind of explored all of this. So this was really nice to hear. I think these conversations matter. And, I have to come up with something as a therapist. I just believe that relationships can reveal places inside of us that still needs attention. And I also think they also can expose our attachment wounds. We've been talking about that on the book club. Y'all check me out Sunday night. Absolutely free. Go to Dr. Alicia Book Club. Wait, hold on. I can't be married to Boyce and not have my and not have all of this, y'all. Text love to 87948 if you're interested in joining. And then go to draliciabookclub.com. We're talking about healthy relationships. I'm building the bridge between men and women, and we are exposing fears and patterns and defenses and sometimes parts of ourselves that we didn't even know and realize that we're hurting. How do you recognize that? I'm talking about that every Sunday night. Please go there. And I think relationships can be a place of healing. I think healing requires accountability without shame. Always ask yourself, what was my part? Without taking responsibility for someone else's harmful behavior. Sometimes we can say, I ignored some of the red flags. That doesn't mean that you deserved what happened to you. Okay, so I want to keep that going there. So maybe we don't. I don't think the problem is men or women. I think the problem is just we need to start learning how to listen to each other. We need to do the inner work. So please join me on Sunday night. What else I want to say? I just want to thank everybody. I'm Dr. Alicia, Real Table Talk Podcast. I'm going to hand it over to my king over here, and he can give us the last words for the night.
Really quick, before you go, Dr. Boyce, I just want to give a shout out to the commenters here. Ace Black 92, J.D. Hunter, Celia McDonald, the Dr. Vibe show. He's been on doing some great things. Lenny Robb, Meet and Greet Lauren. Shout out to everyone, 7 Mile. Like, whether you agreed or disagreed, we respect all of the comments and all of the commentary. We might have been hurt that we were called old hoes, but we love you all. And with that, we'll turn it over to you, Dr. Boyce.
Well, first off, thank you, ladies, for having me, and it's been an honor to be here. I'll leave it two quick points on this. One is the other day when I was walking on the Morehouse campus, and I saw this big, gigantic, massive painting inside our building of Oprah Winfrey, and it's like literally like 20 feet tall. And I remember thinking, okay, that's right, she does do stuff with Morehouse. She probably gave a bunch of money to make this happen, and I think that's amazing. And so what that really said to me was that there are women who are concerned about what's happening with some of our men, and the opposite is true as well. There are men who are concerned about what's happening with our women. When we see certain things happening, whether it's in the music industry or whatever, when the men speak up, and they get attacked for that. They get attacked for trying their best to support and defend the women that they love. And I'm one of them. I've gone through that myself. And, and one of the things that I remember learning from something Oprah said a long time ago that I actually, took to heart, that's really helped me a lot, is I remember her 30 years ago saying something like, everybody wants to be heard. And what I've noticed in life is that a lot of people, most of us do a lot of talking, but not a lot of people do a lot of genuine listening. And I believe that listening doesn't just help you become a better person because you're learning, you're gaining knowledge and empathy and all the things that can help you to connect with the person, but it makes the other person feel better. They're going to respond to you in a different way. And so I would encourage everybody here to be a listener. Stop walking into conversations like you already know the answer. You don't know the answer, because if you knew the answer, you wouldn't be confused. You wouldn't be frustrated. And there's another wise woman in our family, Alicia's aunt. I never met her. I met her at her funeral. I met Alicia's father at her funeral. I met her aunt at her funeral, but her aunt was a mathematical genius. And she had a quote that they would recite that I really love, where she said, "Everything is easy if you study." And I said, that's so great. That's brilliant, because the things that matter to me in life and I want to get better at, I study those things. Like I wanted to be a better husband, so I studied my wife. I would watch and observe and try to understand things. I wanted to connect to the kids. I studied the kids. I would watch what they watched on TV. I would look at how they talk, what mattered to them. I want to get better at health. I study health. I want to get better at finances. I study finances. And I want us to think for a second about how many people are frustrated about problems that they never took the time to study. You ain't got no money, you broke as hell, but did you ever take a finance class to learn how to not be broke? No, okay, well, that might be the issue. Well, my relationship, my love life isn't what I want it to be. Well, did you study? Did you really study? If you're a woman looking for a good man, did you study men? Because maybe the man that was supposed to be your example wasn't the best example. Same thing with women. I remember reading a whole book called What Women Want Men to Know by Dr. Barbara DeAngelis. And it humbled the hell out of me, because it showed me how little I understand about women. And so what I would just say to everybody is two things. Listen, do more listening, do less talking, and go study the thing that you want to master. I guarantee you, it may not solve all your problems, but I promise you, you'll be further along than about 95% of the population. I assure you. So thank you for having me. It was great to see everybody. And I can't wait to support the show. You guys are really good.
Thank you so much. We're bringing this conversation to the All Black National Convention. We'll be there. The Real Table Talk Pod will be there. It's in my hometown of New Jersey. So I'm excited to meet each and every one of you. Make sure you go to allblacknationalconvention.com. Use code ICONIC, right? That is my VIP group. I'm excited to welcome you all in Jersey. Yeah, you see Dr. Boyce dancing? Yep. We're going to get more of that at the All Black National Convention. We have some amazing speakers. I'm going to be teaching you guys how to build $1 million brand. I generated my first $1 million at 27 years old. I might be struggling in love, but I ain't struggling in money and success. I know how to make a couple dollars, and I want to teach you guys how to do the same. So All Black National Convention, October 16th through the 18th, right where I am in New Jersey. Make sure you go to allblacknationalconvention.com. Use the code ICONIC for my special group that I'm going to be bringing there. Real Table Talk will be doing some special activations there. I'll be doing some special activations there. And we're just really excited. And with that said, man, oh man, thank you all. We're going to continue the conversation on Instagram, in our Instagram, or in our social media, in our YouTube channels. We're just happy that we were able to bring this conversation to you. We didn't want to go back and forth. We didn't want to fight. We just wanted love. But for those of you who had negative things to say in the comments, we respect your opinions. If you had great things to say, we respect those too. But we just wanted to come back and let you know, we're not talking about all men. We're talking about some men. We did have a great perspective of someone who is married and happily married, Dr. Alicia, in the comments. So we understood that. We were just bringing her perspective to life. Everybody has different experiences, but we really just wanted to bring that. No, we ain't trying to fight. We just trying to love. So with that said, definitely catch us in Jersey, All Black National Convention. Come to my unavailable retreat, September 11th through the 14th, San Juan, Puerto Rico. I rented out a mansion in a rainforest. We are throwing our cell phones and laptops in the pool. And we are just going to be unavailable for 4 days and 3 nights. So come follow me at Tiana Mon Johnson on Instagram. And I'm just going to do a final round robin. I know we have 2 minutes left. So final round robin, 30 seconds of commentary. Cinda, take it away really quick.
Yeah, please. If you want to talk solutions, that's my fun thing to do. So follow me on @CindaWill on Instagram. And there's a bunch of other places, but that's the main place. Thank you.
You heard it. Dr. Donette, take it away. We can't hear you, Doc.
You're muted.
Dr. Donette here, your emotional intelligence strategist. Follow me on Instagram at Say More, SEI More. with Dr. Green or at Dr. Donette Green, and just believe in yourself, but allow yourself to understand your emotions and what you're feeling, and don't allow your emotions to lead you. Learn how to lead your emotions.
Good stuff. Dr. Boyce, take it away.
Years ago, I wrote a book called Financial Lovemaking, merging assets with your partner in ways that feel good. And if anybody wants a free e-copy of that book, you can actually go to boyceandalicia.com. So boyceandalicia.com is where you can get a copy of the book, and maybe it'll help somebody.
Dr. Alicia, what you got to say, my dear?
Hey, okay, everybody, go to boyceandalicia.com there. Definitely go to text love to 87948 and you'll get all the information pertaining to me. And let me just say, follow me on Instagram at Coaching with Dr. Alicia. It's other stuff other than Real Table Talk. You know, it's other things on there that I think that you'll be able to learn. And I just want to thank everybody for being here.
Thank you so much, Dr. Alicia. And we love that. There's so much more to unpack, so much more to uncover. I am at Tiana Von Johnson on all social platforms. Thank you all so much. And have a good night, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.